Okay, there's no question today looks bullish. Why? Because prices above previous day's high. Had a good, I guess it was a announcement this morning. Some news was good. And all time charts sync pointing upward. 60 minute, 15 minute, 10,000 tick, and everything's bullish. All the moving averages are expanding upward. So I'm looking for trend line breaks, and I'm looking to go long. So the first trade I took was a stop out, and I like it. It's fine with me. It's a good setup. The problem is, though, it's so expanded upward. It's so expanded upward that it may have to come down 30%, 50%. It could come down all the way and retrace the whole entire thing and still be bullish, really, if it's as long as it stays above yesterday's levels and the day candle stays green. I'm still going to be bullish on it. But I like what I wanted to record what I did here on this particular trade. Let's see if we're getting ready to be set up for another one. But what I did here, and I like, is that I bought on the trend line break. I bought a little late on it, but that's okay. I bought a little late. I should have bought down here, ended up buying up here. When it came down to this level right here, I added as low as I possibly could, lowering my average price to about right here. And then I stopped out for about $50. This was a limited risk of $50. Perfect setup. Perfect opportunity. It was like a $35 drop on one micro to these pivots. And so I added at the very tick of the pivot, and it just went down a little bit and stopped me out for about $50. So I was able to get into 2 micros for the same risk. And I like that. So it just swept the levels here. If it's bullish, it could just sweep these levels here just enough to get the stops out and continue up. So we need to find that pivot. That's the last pivot that it's going to add, right? That it's going to create before going back up. If it's going to continue in a bullish day, it'll create higher and higher lows. And you want to get on that trend line break at the higher low level. So if this was not it because it had expanded too high up and the first trend line break is going to fail because it's going to do a multiple leg pullback, one of those legs will be the leg to get the trend line break. And the big deal is taking 2 or 3 losses trying to find the trend line. You have to hold the one that does good. I've had 5 in a row that didn't work, and I had the last one more than made up for all those losses. Problem was I didn't hold it that day. So I'm learning. Anyway, that's what we did so far. I'll let you know how each trade goes. Stay tuned. Okay, I take 2 trading styles. One has a $50 risk limit, roughly, and the other one has a $500 risk limit. Sometimes I'll do a $250 risk limit, and I'll trade the same bias going long. I still believe it's long, but I'll give myself more room with the second strategy, a bigger loss limit, a more wiggle room, and all this kind of thing. And that's been working out pretty well. If it wasn't for that yesterday, I would have been basically red yesterday, and maybe fought my way to break even. But the reason why I had a profit yesterday was because I allowed myself to have these bigger risk limits, and I add to the position for a bigger move, and it's been doing good. I'm experimenting with it on these Apex accounts because 1 micro takes a long time to pass these accounts. It took me 4 months to pass 2 of those accounts, and I made $500 on 1 trade yesterday, and all you need is 3,000. So if I can, that was using the $500 risk limit. The $50 risk limit is going to take a lot longer. So I've got myself situated up here on this trade up here, where same thing, MNQ, micros, and measuring from where I would get in to where I'd stop out. How much is that? For 2 micros, it's $545. So for 1 micro, it's roughly $250, $260. That's within my $500 risk limit. But if it falls back this far, I want to be out of the trade. Now, this happens to also be a very good area to buy, unfortunately. So I have to realize when I'm getting in. This is an excellent new trade buying area, which I could try my $50 risk limit, keep it tight. If it doesn't work, get out faster. But I wouldn't want to miss this opportunity down here with this trend line break. Already had support, and this consolidation area is holding up. It looks like a good buy area. So if I stop out over here on this trade, then I will be looking to switch accounts and do some really tight stop loss trading on the other account. So right now I'm just trying to make my mind up. Do I really want to start this trade with 1 micro way up here? Or do I want to try and see if it'll pull back down into some order blocks, some fair value gaps, and some lower pivots or 50% of this impulse, and see if I can get a lower price, which would be better. So stay tuned. The second trade with a $50 risk is taking off. It's hit 1-to-1 return on it. Must have been a $35 risk because that's only 35. I'm going to move my stop from, there's a 2-to-1 almost. Oh, I should have took that. It was at the high too. Well, I got to get my stop loss over to break even. That way, if it does something weird, like come all the way down, I can at least not lose money on this trade. So we're right above break even. Hopefully it'll keep going. Well, you know, if our bias to the long side is right, it could easily do a liquidity sweep first, but I think it already did that. You can usually count on one liquidity sweep before it goes higher. Not that this is the bottom or anything, but you know, often it will. It did a W pattern, a consolidation pattern, a trend line break. It looks like it could keep going. We'll see. You know, suddenly, as soon as you have a winner, you feel this rush of emotions that also is, it can really be a problem, just like the not wanting to take a loss, how you move your stop loss. And you get this, I want to take profit. But if I've made my mind to be, the goal is to hold the trade as long as I possibly can and ask myself one question: is this trade winning? So now we have a new pivot here. If this was the liquidity sweep for the move up out of consolidation, then this could be the next level. I'm going to move my stop to that level and see if I can lock in some more profit. If it comes all the way down and takes that out, then we got a day on our hands. It could be a really trippy, choppy day. And I'll be glad to, okay, so I made something out of it. I could have made more. I could have made almost $100. And all I got, you know, was like 10. So is it worth me not taking the trade? And here it goes right back up. Let's see what we got on this. Could be the trend line break I'm looking for. See, that bites, man. And there's another liquidity sweep. So this might be the low. Let's see if it can keep going up. I'm looking for another trend line break. That one happened too quickly. And then I'm going to try to get back in it, but I want to be sure. If this candle stays green, I'll jump in it.
Order filled.
Right here it did. Let's see what happens. I'm going to figure out what my risk is. I already knew it's around what it's around. $34. Okay, I'll let you know how. Okay, again, it's hit 1-to-1 over 1-to-1 return. So I'm going to move my stop from all the way down here and up to break even, a little bit above break even for some kind of small profit. If it makes a higher pivot, I'll go up that higher and I'll try to trail the pivots. If it's truly a trending day, we're going to find the bottom pivots to stay with. And I think if I get to $100 though, I might just lock it in. Right now I'm at break even on this thing, and it's a risk-free trade, so I'm happy with that. Let's see what happens. Okay, I don't know how long it's been since I recorded, but I'm in another trade. Triple break, trend line break. I like that W pattern. I'm at break even again. I've been breaking even several times now. You know, I'm trying to catch that one that does not come back to my stop loss. Okay, so that's where we're at in another trade right now. Well, that is exactly what happened. It came back and I broke even for a tiny profit. So this is becoming a pattern here, but that's okay. Once we finally get the one that breaks out, we will be happy if it breaks out. We don't know for sure if it's going to break out, but it might be time for me to just switch into my other pattern where I can let it wiggle a little bit more, you know. So I'm going to buy one. I'm going to buy one up here at the top. Why is the order canceled? Oh, wait a minute. Which I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to go long on one that I can hold for a longer limit and just keep my stop where it's at. Because if I would have kept my stop lower, it would have still had me in. So we'll see. I might do, like I said, I'm going to try my other strategy as well on the top account. Okay, instead of a $50 risk limit, instead of moving my stop to break even as soon as it hits 1-to-1, I'm going to do a $500 $100 risk limit on the top account. It's a different account on the top right corner. And I'm going to put my stop a lot lower. So the risk is bigger. The movement of flexibility and freedom of price to move around is much bigger. And I don't have to wait when I hit 1-to-1. If I hit 1-to-1, if I put it on break even, it shouldn't come that far back. We'll see. We'll see how this strategy works. I'm still looking for small break-even possibilities on the bottom right account, which is a $50 risk, only $50 risk on that account. And we're going to see if I can find some more trades. If I keep breaking even, at least I'm not losing money. So you never know when you're going to find that home run. So we'll see how it goes. I'll let you know. Okay, so it's working. It's going up. It's popping through. Unfortunately, none of the short, smaller risk trades worked. I broke even on most all of those. I lost one. So I'm actually down on that account like $40. But this one could run, and if it does keep running, it could be a multiple $100 win on one micro. We'll see. I need to break even though. As soon as it gets up to this target up here, around, the 1-to-1 mark. That's for 3 contracts. It'll trigger me to at least move my stop up higher. I can reduce some of the risk. I can figure out which pivot I might want to try to put it at. I can go here, which is even less than where it's at. Here, I can even think about coming half and reducing half my risk if I think it's going to stay up. Or I could break even. But it seems that the entry point is the best place to buy, and for it to come back and test that same area. That's why our trades break even when we do that 1-to-1 break even, because price tends to come back to test that area. You see it all the time on patterns, but sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it comes close and doesn't. And sometimes it keeps right on going. So it's the chance we take when we place our orders, but breaking even is a win in my opinion. So I'll let you know how this trade ends up over here. Okay, I need to analyze and go over and explain why I'm also liking this top right longer term trade here. Where I entered into this stop loss is only for 1 micro, only $100 loss. I'm only holding 1 micro, so even if it pulls back down here, if my limit is $500 on this particular kind of trade, then I can think about adding to my position. I want to only try to add once. So the goal would be to add probably 2 micros in an area that you think it's going to bounce. And if it doesn't bounce, if it violates that idea, you get out and you control the amount of risk, hopefully keeping it within the $500 approximation. So that's what I'm going to do. My stop loss is only here to tell me to re-examine where I'm at, and it's not really to be triggered at this point, because this is where I would like to add. If this thing comes all the way down into some of these pivots that had done the sweep before it went up, this is the last one right here, the last pivot that did a sweep of this pivot before it went up. This one did a sweep of this pivot. So I could bring my stop to this pivot right here. They've all swept a previous pivot before going up. And I guess you could say that's how it works with this. But anyway, at some point, one of them is going to be the actual holding point that we can put our stop loss in. If you have a trend that's going up, then the liquidity that's being generated is on the bottom side. You just have to find which pivot's the safest and keep following those safe pivots up. All right, so these pivots are meant to be broken at some point, but when you're on the right side of the market or the algorithm, those pivots won't be broke, not anytime soon, and you can ride them up. And then when you see the change of structure, you have to be careful. And then, of course, if we can just keep moving our stop upwards, I'm going to start moving this stop to break even. This is way too high for this to come all the way back. Now, see, I'm putting it right where I think the buying should take place. Where it explodes out of consolidation and takes out pivots is a strong area. And that's one of the pivots that swept a previous pivot. This is good. Now see, I lost that one trade right here because I put it back right down here. I put it back right, my stop right where it had taken off. Look at this W pattern, the W pattern right here, and then it consolidates. You know, I started my trade right here for the takeoff, and it came all the way back to that area, right there, right in the top parts of that W pattern consolidation. It comes back to, it seems. So let's take a look at what happened up here. Same thing. You can see it on the bigger time chart. This is a 5,000, a 2,000 tick chart. Same thing. Anyway, I'll let you know how it's going. I've moved my stop to break even right now. And at some point when it comes down to make a pivot, it's going to have to do some kind of a drop and make a pivot and then keep going up. Then I'll move my stop to lock in profit up there, but it hasn't done that yet. So we'll have to wait to move it from break even. Let's see what happens. Okay, I tell you what, I'll take this pivot here for a lock-in profit on the 500 tick chart. This pivot, my stop is underneath that pivot. So it could definitely come down, probably maybe bounce on that area, maybe come down to that area. Hopefully this pivot will hold up as support. I'm not really sure if it will, but I definitely want to lock in something. Maybe I could just take my 2-to-1 profit up there, and if it hits target 2, just take it. Because at some point this thing is going to come back down and correct. I just hope that I don't give back all this profit. I'm at least locking some in. You have to lock some in, man. You have to. You can't just lose everything. And at some point, when you have a big piece, like if I had multiple contracts right now, if I had 2 contracts, I would have sold one probably at 1-to-1 and let the second one run. But with one micro, it's not that easy. So I'll let you know how it goes here. Let's keep going. I might just take my profit when it hits 2-to-1 up there. Well, I was typing on another screen and I heard target filled, so it hit me. So my decision has been made. I left my target there and it automatically triggered me out right on the tick. Yeah, I could keep going, sure. It could keep going. And now I would have to really figure out, you know, once something keeps going with no correction, you want to be in the trade, not looking to get in the trade. So we'll just have to wait and see what develops. Maybe that's the end of the trading so far today. Then there's the psychological issues of having a winning day and losing all of it on bad trades. You know, you have to battle that, think that through. You know, I wanted to get in this trade right here. Perfect trend line break, consolidation, red candle taken out. You know, red candle was taken out. Trend line break, bullish day. All time charts are agreeing. But I haven't been doing good on this shorter term trading. I'd want to get out if this pivot broke, and I just didn't want to give back any of my profits. That was a bad decision, and it was a quick made decision because this thing was moving, but you know, it's also a rational decision. You don't want to give back all your profits, right? Right now I'm up about $150. I can live off $150 a day. You know, yesterday was 500. Should I stop or should I keep going is always going to be, you know, something for us to think about. If it's only been 30 minutes, I'm happy with the day. This is consistent, then I would get out and just keep it safe, play it safe, and make money. If it's early in the day and I'm on a hot streak and I got the day figured out, like I really understand what direction the day is going to be and it's proven itself, then I can keep trading. If it's early enough and I'm not over trading hours and hours without a break, and that's where I'm at right now. I mean, it's only been 30 minutes and I feel like I understand the day. This could collapse and just blow your bias right out of the water. We don't know what it's going to do, but when you do know what it's doing, right, and you're following it, staying in the market's not a bad idea, really. And what did I say about falling? Look at this. Where was my stop at when I got out of that? Ooh. So yeah, it just came crashing right down, and I need to see if my other stop would have got triggered, because I took the 2-to-1 automatically at the tippy top and then it come crashing down. I want to check to see if my stop would have been hit. I think my stop was right here. Got in here, got out at the top, and my stop was way down at the bottom, but I moved it up. I think I would have been safe still. I'd still be in this trade. Okay, let's look at it together here. I entered the trade right here with the idea of a $500 risk. That put my stop down here. I entered right here. And so 2-to-1 was up here where I got out. And I moved my stop at some point. from down here above break even, which is right here, under a pivot. And I'm pretty sure it was this one right here. I think it was this little point right here. But even if it was, it did not come down to get me. I would have been safe right there. I'd still be in the trade as long as this holds up right here. But those pintails underneath these moving averages don't look good to me. And I'm already profitable. So, I might be missing a trade though. Fear might be keeping me from taking a trade. I don't like that. But at the same time, I don't want to give back my profits either. So, all right, I'm going to risk all my profits to try another larger limit trade here at the top right. Willing to risk up to $500 on this trade. Today seems to be a pretty reliably bullish day, and there's no reason for it to crash that's to be seen, but it could happen. Could happen. But I'm willing to risk 500 on this particular account. We're already up 192, so we'll be down 300 on it if it happens. So yes, let's see what happens. We got long as soon as it pulled back, basically, is all we're doing here. Got to find some kind of pullback, right? We got to know where to measure our risk. So I'm starting with this pivot, and I know that is a $300 maximum loss for 3 contracts, and I'm only holding 1 contract. So plenty of wiggle room to think about adding. It can come all the way back down to here, and I could still be within my limit of 500, and I could add down here, and we could look for a bounce after that add. We'll see what happens. 500 is the maximum risk on this particular trade strategy, top right, and the bottom right is more $50 risk limit trades. So for $50, I'll risk on this trade setups down here in the bottom right, $500 risk setups for the top right. All right, we'll see what happens. Well, good. It's moving up in my favor, but my first target for this kind of risk is way up here. So it's going to have to go up there quite a bit. I can't really do anything because I don't want to take profits too early, and it's too early. It hasn't hit 1-to-1 return on this. And that's if I was going to stop out down here. I was going to add. So really what I would probably try to do here is instead of I could take profits, which is nice. $150 for 1 micro up that way, I think. Yep. And or I could just take my stop and bring it to break even and see if it continues to go up and up. We'll see. Okay, so it's over halfway to my first target. I could break even right now. A lot of times I'll get too antsy, break even too early, and I don't like doing that, but I think I'll take that first target up there. I don't know if it's a nice spike up. You can get it on another leg down probably. So that's the big question. Should I just grab this $100 and be really happy with these small profits and take it, Now that I've already gotten profits, I don't want to lose any, and then we just gain. So then I get in this idea, well, I can break even, stay in the trade, keep holding. Is that what I'm trying to learn? Holding right now? Isn't that what I'm trying to learn? Isn't that why I'm making the videos? To remind myself, what I'm trying to get better at? And I'm trying to get better at holding. We're already profitable for the day. There's a balance, though, between, I could train to hold longer, or I could take these profits right now while they're here, right? And I have been holding longer. And this is holding longer than normal. But see, if I get out of it and it goes up, I'm going to be mad that I didn't hold it, which is what I was trying to do as my goal, to hold longer, which was today's goal. Hold as long as you possibly can. So even talking this through is really helping me out. The next question is, where do I move my stop loss? Am I going to go ahead and try to hold this for the $500 risk and let it come all the way down, lose that $100, lose even more, let it come down, and then add and possibly lose $500? That is the battle that I'm having. If it goes up really super fast, why would you not take that? And I think taking profits depends on how it gets there. Absolutely. And if it spikes up like that, it seems like it would be wise just to grab that profit while it's so fast and easy and came so quickly. That's a good way of looking at it. Also, it's an impulse wave, and it's going to shoot up on strength, and then you have more of a reason to hold it because most likely it's going to keep going. So there's another way of looking at it there. I guess I'll, as it's dropping right now, and the more it drops, I'll just have to hold it. But that $100 range really is looking tempting, though.